Shalom. Okay, so this lesson is very exciting. Arizal decoded, the hidden Mashiach revealed. And this is a concept that we're going to go over and explore in depth. It's absolutely fascinating. It's the most fascinating revelation, I think, that's connected to the Mashiach. Of all, it's just a complete and total wonder once you start to decode it. First of all, however, let's go back and look at some of the verses that we've looked at in previous teachings, and just to refresh our memories and reconnect back to that Arizal commentary, where it all began, where going down the rabbit hole began with the Arizal's commentary into Ve'et Hanan. Okay, so Deuteronomy 3:26. This is the top text box. It's got an ordinal value of 622. 622 is 2 times 311, and 311 is the word Ish. Why is that so significant? Because when we are looking at the Torah, the parts of the Torah that reveal Yosef to his brothers, there's a frequency of the word Ish within those chapters. It's repeated, and I've just put 3 verses up as an example there. The first one is, so they drew near the man who was over Yosef's house, and they spoke to him at the entrance of the house. And then there's another couple of verses which demonstrate this point. Lots of times within the text there's this man that keeps appearing, and the Jewish sages say that this man who's over Yosef's house was his son Moshe. He acted as an interpreter, so that they could communicate with the brothers in Hebrew, but without disclosing obviously the fact that Yosef could understand Hebrew. Okay, so there is this concept here of this man. So that's just another fascinating point, really fascinating. What's even more fascinating is that when we get to the part when it says, and this is turning to Yosef, this is point B of the second text box, and he turned away from them and wept. This also comes to 311. Okay, so we've got this clear point to Mashiach ben Yosef through these 2 words, through the actual ordinal value of the entire of Deuteronomy 3:26. Okay, which we've covered in a previous lesson. All the concept of the Ravlach we've looked at, this a teacher for you. This is things that we've gone over previously. In this lesson we're going to be delving further and going deeper and deeper into the rabbit hole until we see the Mashiach revealed clearly. Okay, so that's just the total alone gives some beautiful gematrias that give us some really key revelations as to what this verse is all about. Okay, the next one is Deuteronomy 34:12. This is the other verse that we looked at. It's got all the gematrias in regards Yeshua. For example, the part that's in orange, Ul-Chol Hamorah Hagadol, it equals to Yeshua 386. We've covered this in a previous teaching. This teaching, however, we're going to be looking at the ordinal value of the verse 492, which is 4 times 123, and in my teachings this number is a very, very significant number, and we'll just go and have a look for why. Because that which Moshe did, which is the green, highlighted in green in the third text box down of Deuteronomy 34:12, that which Moshe did comes to 123 ordinally. You'll notice that I've highlighted the initial letters of Asher, Osa, Moshe, and that comes to Aleph, Ayin, Mem. There's also the initial letters of Ein, Od, Milvador. There is nothing else besides him, which is a state of revelation of the name Yod He Vav He that we've got to get to. And this teaching ultimately leads to that. And that's when the darkness itself reveals the light of the name Yod He Vav He. And this is what Arizal, and this is what the sages are trying to get us to, that place of revelation, which is a difficult one to get to. And Ein Od Milvador, the ayin, the Aleph, the ayin and the mem come to 111, which is equal to Aleph. And we're trying to attain the teaching of the Aleph. If we go to look at the third text box again, Ulchol Hamorah Hagadol, which is, we've pointed out that this refers to Yeshua in a previous teaching, and that Hamorah, which equals Ravlach, a teacher for you. This Hamorah can be rearranged for More Aleph, teacher of the Aleph. So it's all connected to these very messianic concepts. We have to attain the wonderful teachings, the wonderful inner teachings of the Torah. We have to attain these in order to elevate our consciousness of the divine consciousness of the name Yod He Vav He, and return it to the place of the first letter He in the name Yod He Vav He, what's called Bina, understanding. So as we're going through these, we're gaining very clear holy understanding. Okay, so the next one, Yoshua, spelled in full, is 123. So Yeshua, spelled with an additional He in the letter. Joshua, spelled in full, is 123. And also Kate's Shem Lechoshech, there is an end to darkness. So this exile will come to an end. That also comes to 123. And there's loads and loads of other very, very highly significant messianic concepts associated with the number 123. 1, 2, 3. It's as simple as 1, 2, 3. So let's go down, and we've got another text box now where we're adding up the two ordinal values of the two verses, and they come to 1114. 1114 is 2 times 557. And 557 is the ordinal and the regular value for the woman called Serach. And Serach is, as in Serach Bat Asher. She is the woman, according to the Midrash, who helped Moshe locate. First of all, she was able to identify that Moshe was actually the Redeemer. But then she went and located the bones of Yosef with Moshe so they could all leave exile. A very significant woman in terms of final redemption, because as it was then, so it is now. Okay, another gematria that we've got is, this is regarding the 1114. We're going to have a look at 114. Which is obviously clearly linked to that, and we'll go to that next. Yeshu comes to an ordinal of 37, and Yeshu filled out, so that's filled out as it sounds. Yod Shin Vav comes to 77 ordinally, that's another significant number. Add them both together, 37, which is also significant because that means Yakida. This is telling us that he came at the highest level of soul, the level of self-sacrifice. So this is a very important concept. We've covered it in previous teachings. So 37 is Yakida, and put that with the 77, we get to 114. So then we've got 1114 equals Mashiach ben David. Okay, which is 434. That's with the additional Yud in the letter David. And Mashiach ben Yosef, which is 566. And then if we add that to it, the Yeshu, which is how Yeshua had to appear as the first, when he came the first time, as Mashiach ben Yosef. This was the name that was given to him, Yeshu, by the sages, and it means may his name be erased in his memory. Okay, not a very pleasant name to be given, the Mashiach, but there's very deep purpose and meaning in that. Okay, hidden meaning. So let's go and have a look at some of this concept, because it is an absolute contradiction that the Mashiach, who is supposed to reveal the name of Yod He Vav He, would, in order to do that, first have to have his own name erased. So this is a contradiction, and we're going to have a look at the root of these contradictions and see where that ultimately leads. So stay on board. Haster Estir. Hiding I will hide. This is from Deuteronomy 31:18. It's got an ordinal value of 130, which is the missing letter from Yeshua's name, Ayin. Okay, we're only going to be looking for this missing letter Ayin, because once we've found it, we've found the whole concept of the Moshiach in the Husks, and he's no more hidden, and this contradiction will soon disappear. But let's go and have a look at this verse, Deuteronomy 31:18. And I will hide my face on that day because of all the evil they have committed when they turned to other deities, other gods. Okay, so this hiding I will hide, okay, is haster estir. So basically the holy is, it often appears hidden in an unholy context. We've got to go through this again and again in this teaching. You will see it. It's already been shown. There's, he made one opposite the other, but it particularly with the context of the Mashiach, because it causes a contradiction that needs reconciling. Holiness can be hidden to the point where it can cause a contradiction to true reality, such as the Mashiach being hidden in exile and called Yeshu creates an illusion of another God, which is a complete contradiction of the truth. We need to rectify this and remove the other God from before our eyes. So Mashiach appears within the context of idolatry. He appears in filthy rags. So we have absolutely no choice but to look at this phenomena that's before us and determine this is not Mashiach, which is a contradiction. It contradicts the truth that he is the Mashiach. So we've got to understand, what are we dealing with when Hashem says, hiding I will hide? Okay, and how can we remove this other God from before us? Because we've actually created another God by saying this is something other than Hashem. We've got to see beyond this illusion. Okay, why is the Mashiach hidden in such a way, and what can we do to reconcile this contradiction that's in this contradiction that's actually creating another God? The Mashiach has created a phenomena of another God. Because you look at it and you say, well, they've made Yeshua into a god within Christianity, and in it goes on and on and on. And there's a misunderstanding that leads to a great contradiction. And for anybody from within Judaism that's looking at Yeshua being the Mashiach, it's very difficult to circumnavigate that contradiction, because it doesn't look holy at all. It doesn't present itself in any way holy. And why would Hashem do such a thing as that? Okay, so let's go on. You cannot reveal Mashiach until you realize how much he has been hidden. A revelation of Mashiach ends the cycle of contradictions. This world has the appearance of a yin and yang, equal good and bad, equal light and dark. This is the ultimate illusion. I'm a trained accountant. Okay, so I've been going through these numbers and finding there's a balance. For everything holy, there's an unholy equal opposite. Okay. So you end up thinking, this concept of yin and yang, it's like I'm preparing a balance sheet here. I look at this verse and it reveals light, but then at the same time, there's a revelation of something other than light, something that's dark, or something holy and something unholy, and everything seems to be in perfect balance. This is the illusion. Okay, this is an illusion, and I want to get this straight from the start. I'm an accountant, so I've been thinking all these numbers, it's like a perfect balance sheet. When you get all the numbers together and you link up all the dots, it's like you've prepared this incredible balance sheet. The entire of creation is just one big balance sheet, one big perfect balance sheet of the King over kings of kings. And then you look again. Okay? Because that is an illusion. We're not dealing with yin and yang. We're not dealing with equal good and bad. We're not dealing with equal light and dark. That is just an illusion. And the illusion is created because we've accounted for Mashiach wrong. Okay? We're not looking at a balance sheet in anything at all. We're looking at a fixed asset register. We're looking at not debit and credit balances here. It's all debit. It's all good. The only problem is that when you account for the Mashiach wrong, then it appears as a balance sheet. It appears as yin and yang. But it's not. Once you understand that the Mashiach is wholly good, even though he has the appearance of a serpent. And we've gone through this. Mashiach has the same gematria as Nechash. He can appear as a serpent. He's not a serpent. It's all good. So once you account for Mashiach, once you are able to understand Mashiach and the purpose of his hiddenness, okay, and once you can decode that hiddenness to reveal, oh, just wait a minute, this thing that appears as a false god is not a false god. It's just the way that Hashem presented him in this world as some kind of contradiction to holiness, to truth, a lie. Just as a Nechash is the serpent is a lie, but this is an illusion. There is no lie. There is only the truth. There's only Yod He Vav He, Ein Od Milvado. There is nothing else, and that is a revelation of Mashiach ben David. Okay, because Mashiach ben David is equivalent to Ein Od Milvado 82. So Ein Od Milvado is an ordinal of 82, and Mashiach ben David has an ordinal of 82. And once you work through the footsteps, the 999 footsteps of Mashiach, and get to the very end, there is no yin and yang. There is no yin and yang. There is no balance sheet. There's no perfect balance. Everything is completely out of balance. There's no balance at all. There's just Yod He Vav He. It's an asset register. All these numbers are on the side of holy. They appear on the side of unholy. It's an appearance. Once you get to the end and you decode it all, nope, it's all good. It's just all part of an ultimate revelation of good. Okay, so that's where you get to. That's the place where I'm at, and there is no yin and yang. There is no equal opposite. There's just simply Hashem, and that is it. I think I've covered everything there. So it is a case of accounting for the reality of Mashiach on the side of holy rather than the opposite side. So instead of saying, oh, what's this false god before us, and accounting for it in those terms, you've got to understand that was a holy decision that Hashem made in order to bring us to a place of divine consciousness. Okay, to battle against these husks and these illusions, to defeat them, and for us to attain from below a level of divine consciousness that confirms the reality. There's only Yod He Vav He. There is no balance sheet, there is no equation, there is no cause and effect ultimately. It's all a fixed asset register. We are looking at all good, all debit balances. Okay, and the numbers, we will go through this again and again, the numbers, and we'll need to go through it for you to understand exactly what I'm saying. But if you've listened to any of my teachings, you should be able to follow this thread through quite easily. So we're looking at section D on this text box that's before us now. Point D. Haster estir. If you take the first He of the word and add it to the end of the second word, and the first Aleph of the second word and add it to the beginning of the first word, it spells Esther, Astira, Esther, contradiction. Okay, the entire book of Esther is a contradiction in a way. Why? Because Esther means hidden, by the way. And what's hidden in the book of Esther? The name Yod He Vav He. God is not mentioned once. Okay, Esther means hidden. Yod He Vav He is hidden, and where is it hidden? Is hidden in the name of a Gentile king. So this is a contradiction in itself that needs resolving, because it's very evident throughout the book of Esther that Hashem is the force hidden and orchestrating the entire of those events of the book of Esther that ultimately lead to the death of the greatest enemy of the Jewish people, of the entire world, Amalek, doubt. Okay? But it's all done in a very hidden way, the book of Esther. It's all Hestir, Satira, Esther, a contradiction. We've got to work with this and figure out exactly what Hashem is leading us to and why. Okay, and it's going back to point C of this. The ultimate revelation is that there is no contradiction. There is no contradiction ultimately. There's only Yod He Vav He. But we have to, there is no lie. There's Yod He Vav He. Okay, there is no evil. There's Yod He Vav He. But we have to attain that level of reality. We have to mature in our understanding and come out of our exile, where we are subject to the illusion that there is evil, and we're constricted by that illusion in some way. That's our exile. Our exile is to think in terms of yin and yang, and the ultimate redemption is from that illusion of yin and yang into a place where there's only Yod He Vav He. Why? Because we've transformed that darkness into light. When we see that it's only Hashem hiding behind this disguise of evil, then we can feel comfortable with the entire of reality. We're not going into threat mode all the time. We've got emunah, perfect faith in the name Yod He Vav He. We know there's only Him and only He is good. So this is why we need to get to that place, and we need to go down on a journey to get us there. So let's have a look, because these numbers are incredible. These numbers are incredible. So we've already done point A. I've only put that there so that we can follow the thread through, because obviously there's a lot of numbers. So Yod He Vav He is hidden in the title The King, which in the book refers to Achashverosh. Okay, that comes to 822. It is the 143rd prime. We're on point B. 143rd prime, and it's got an ordinal value of 83, which is Hanukkah. So we're talking about Purim now. Purim is a festival that was inaugurated by the sages. So is Hanukkah. These are the two festivals. Hanukkah is very much associated with the revelation of Mashiach. It comes up again and again and again. The letters on the dreidel, for example, spell Moshiach. There's deep connections, and there's connections to Yeshua with that as well. Okay. Together they equal 904. So 821 plus 83 is 904. So we've got Achashverosh is a Gentile king. Mashiach is hidden in the appearance of a foreign king or god. Okay, it's as simple as that. We need to now do the numbers that show that this is the reality. Again, we've got 904. We've got Yonah. Okay, so we've got Yonah spelt out to the second filling, which is 722 plus 182 ordinally. That comes to 904. There's no surprises here. Okay, there's no surprises here, because we've come across this. There's a sign, a repetitive sign. The revelation of Mashiach is Yonah. Okay, it comes up every single time you go to reveal the Mashiach. The sign of Yonah will appear, just as Yeshua said, the only sign I'm going to give a wicked and adulterous generation is the sign of Yonah. So you've got to expect that when you're revealing Mashiach. Yeshua is the Mashiach, and the sign that he gave us was absolutely bang on accurate. Okay, so here we go again. Look at this. Achashverosh comes to 821. Esther comes to 661. Add them together, 1482, which is 2 times 741. Well, let's have a look at 741. So we go down to F, and Keren Yeshua, horn of salvation, is 741. It's got an ordinal Keren Yeshua of Aleph. So this is the concept. We need to attain the letter Aleph, the teachings of the Aleph, the 1,000 lights of Bina, in order to elevate ourselves up to that divine consciousness, messianic divine consciousness of the name Yod He Vav He. So it's all connected. That comes to 852. Together, 741, which is the same value as Achashverosh and Esther together. The average value of Achashverosh and Esther, 741, that's Mashiach ben Ephraim, which we know is an appellation for Mashiach ben Yosef. So we've got this connection straight away. And 852 is also, again, so the horn of salvation, which regular 741 with an ordinal of 111, which is Aleph, comes to 852. That's also another filling out of Yonah. The first filling, which is 142, and the second filling, filled slightly differently. Another way of filling Yonah comes to 710, and I've put defective spelling, missing a vav. The other spelling also is slightly defective. We've covered these in the last lesson. Sometimes in the Torah, vavs are missing. Okay, it's very symbolic why that vav is missing. And there's a vav missing in the filling out of this. Okay, but it comes to 852, it comes to the horn of salvation, and we can see how that connects back to this concept. So we can see very evidently that this whole Ahasuerus and Esther is very much connected to the concept of Mashiach ben Yosef. We can find a lot out about Mashiach ben Yosef from this story of Purim, from the story of Esther. Okay, so we've made that connection. Now we can move on. This will come back again later in the teaching, but for now, this is a good enough link to move on with. So, Satira, contradiction. It comes to 675, extremely significant number. And it comes to an ordinal of 72, another extremely significant number. And together they come to 747. Right, first of all, you've got to understand contradict means to deny the truth by asserting the opposite. That's what a contradiction means. That's the English meaning of the word contradict. It means to deny the truth by asserting the opposite. And this is exactly what we've got before us. We have got something, when Hashem hides himself, it doesn't appear as Yod He Vav He. When there is only Yod He Vav He, I mean, it's a complete contradiction. There is only Yod He Vav He. Anything that appears as something that is not Yod He Vav He, is Yod He Vav He hidden. Okay? It's a contradiction that denies the truth. So when you're looking at Mashiach, a revelation of Mashiach, and you're seeing him in terms of the Jesus to be found within Christianity, within the Holy Roman Catholic Church, you've got to ask yourself, this is a complete contradiction. It denies the truth of Yod He Vav He because it's been created to look and appear like another god, a foreign god. So it totally contradicts the truth of the Mashiach in every way possible. We've got to reconcile this contradiction. Okay, so let's have a look at these numbers. 675 equals 5 times 135. Very significant number. All these numbers are significant. We're going to go over them again. 72 times 4 equals 288 lost sparks of holiness. We're going to go over that number again. So all these bear in mind. Right, let's have a look at the first number, 135. Okay, because this is quite significant. Well, they're all significant. So you've got 87 plus Yosef is 135. And you can see that the 87 is Yosef spelt out. The ordinal value of Yosef spelt out. Okay, plus the ordinal value of Yosef. So 87 and 48 comes 135. So we can already see that connection. This contradiction is somehow connected to Yosef. Go down to point C, bullet point C. We've got another number here, because let's have a look at this filling out of Yosef, because it's going to lead us to something else that's quite significant. It's going to link us back to Mashiach ben Yosef, Mashiach ben David. It's going to give us that link where Mashiach ben Yosef and Mashiach ben David are one. Okay, and we've got to create unity between these two concepts of Mashiach, these two ways in which Mashiach is revealed. So we've got the regular gematria of Yosef spelt out is 222, 2 times Aleph, plus 87 equals 309. And then we've got this wonderful, it will be redeemed with justice. B'mishpat tefda I think that's how you say it, comes to 920 regular and 110 ordinarily. So 110 we know is Mashiach, is Yeshua HaMashiach. We've come across that number many, many times. So that comes to 1030. 1030 is 10 times 103. And 309 is 3 times 103. So we see a connection between Yosef filled out, the 222 and the 87 comes to 309, and that is somehow connected to this concept. It will be redeemed with justice. And we know that this is completely, totally related to the Messiah, Mashiach, because 920, if we go to point D, is a connection there, is Mashiach ben David. We've got 92 is Mashiach ben David ordinarily, spelt out with a yod, which is 10 times. 10 times 92 comes to 920, so we can see a direct link between that. And then we know ordinarily that comes to Yeshua HaMashiach. So all these concepts are connected in one. We've got the concept of Yosef, the concept of Mashiach ben David, the concept of Yeshua, all connected with this. It will be redeemed with justice. Okay, so this is all linked up. I just wanted to go through that. We still got to go up to B. We still haven't finished going through 135, but I wanted you to be very, very clear that there's a connection between the Mashiachs and this concept of contradiction, a very clear link. And this is just going to be more and more clarified as we go along. So the next one down, point E, this is where it starts to get very interesting. There's point E here and point F, and we're going to have a look at a separate sheet for that, but I just wanted to show you where we get the number. We're going to be looking at two numbers now, 135 and 158, and how this links back to 288, the lost sparks of holiness. So we need to go look at another sheet to be able to go through that. Okay, so here, looking at another verse, and Joshua called the 12 men whom he had prepared of the children of Israel, a man from every tribe. And you can see highlighted in Hebrew, there's two red sections there. These are extremely messianic, because in bullet point A, we've got men which he had prepared comes to 999, which is El Shaddai spelt out, and 999 are the footsteps of Mashiach ben Yosef. It comes to an ordinal of 153. Okay, very, very significant number. We're going to go and have a look at that, but we have to look at that separately. So the second red area is one man. We're looking at bullet point B now. One man from a tribe, also comes to 999. And if you look at the Hebrew, you'll see that the word in between these two phrases is Yisrael. Okay, so we're trying to attain a full rectification of Yisrael, a full gathering of all the tribes together, okay, as one man, a unity, everything coming together, all the tribes coming together, Yehuda coming together with Yosef. Okay, the two tribes of Judah coming together with the 10 tribes of Yosef. So this is very important because this is accomplished by Mashiach ben Yosef. Okay, so the 999 steps here, quite evident. We go down, and this section in B comes to 135, which leads us back to the concept of this contradiction. So we know when we're looking at a contradiction, we are looking at something that is related to the concept of Mashiach ben Yosef without question. Okay, let's go look at part A again. All right, let's go down to C. We will jump up and down between these bullet points because they're all connected. So these are all dots, and we have to then join up the dots. So all these bullet points are like dots, and then we've got to make the connection between the dots. So we'll go from the dots and join the lines up. Okay, so we're on to point B now, bullet point B. 153 equals 100 plus Yeshua. which is ordinal. 135 equals 100 plus 35, which is you're not ordinal. So again, we've got these two concepts. The two concepts of the two aspects of Mashiach. So 153, see above for an interesting analysis. We're going to go through that. And 100 equals the ordinal of a still small voice. We're going to have a look at that right now. So we're going to come back to this. First of all, we've got to have a look at this concept of a still small voice and some of these numbers, 53 and 35. Okay, we've got to go look at that and then come back. We've got to look at more dots and then eventually join them up. We've already looked at this concept of the still small voice previously. So we've got called the Mardaka, the still small voice. It comes to 100 ordinally and 334 regularly, which added together comes to 434. And go down to point B, 434 is Mashiach ben David spelt with a Yod. Okay, this is point C now, the first occurrence of the word, the first occurrence of a word value in the entire Torah with 334 is in Genesis 1:2, Wechoshech, darkness. And go down to point B, and Wechoshech al, and the darkness upon, as in the darkness upon the water, comes to 434, Mashiach ben David with a Yod again. So we've got clear concepts. When we're talking about the still small voice, we are talking about the concept of Mashiach ben David. And it's very clear. The still small voice is the place where the name Yod He Vav He was. There was 3 husks. Okay, we're going to have a look at that as well. Okay, there was 3 husks, and they were where Yod He Vav He was not, and they come to 1,111. So there was the earthquake, the fire, and there was the earthquake, the fire, and the whirlwind. And Elijah went to all these, and there was not. Yod He Vav He was not there. Where was it? It was found in the still small voice. So there's 3 husks that contradict. This is another contradiction that hide the name Yod He Vav He. But the place where Yod He Vav He is revealed is Mashiach ben David. So this is how important it is to bring the concept of Mashiach ben David, Mashiach ben Yosef together, because the concept of Mashiach ben Yosef hides the name Yod He Vav He. Mashiach ben David reveals that contradiction. So we have to unite those two together as one. As we're just left with a contradiction. We're left in a world which is yin and yang, which is equal good and bad. Until that Mashiach, the concepts of Mashiach are unified together and reveal the name Yod He Vav He and are a resting place for the name Yod He Vav He, then we have the contradiction. We have the yin and yang world that we're living in now. We have equal good and equal opposite evil. And we can't live in that state. It's not the truth. It's simply a delusion and an illusion. Until we reveal Mashiach, until we attach the concept of Mashiach ben David back to this concept of Mashiach ben Yosef, we've got yin and yang, and this is not the truth. We're simply not living the truth. Okay, this is some other philosophy that is not Torah. Torah is perfect unity. There's only good. So we're living in a denial of Torah, we're living in a denial of the name Yod He Vav He, if we don't reveal the truth through Mashiach ben Yosef and Mashiach ben David being united together. Only that reveals, and obviously through the Torah of Moshe, all these have got to come together to produce a revelation of the name Yod He Vav He. So let's have a look at these numbers. These are significant. 88, okay, is 53 and 35 together. Okay, so we had the 153 and 135. Okay, so we're just looking at the Yeshua and the Yonah. The unholy opposite of this unit is 88, representing Heil Hitler. We've gone over this again, the neo-Nazi number of hate. Okay, so you have to have an opposite force when we're living in a world which appears in terms of yin and yang. And this is an only opposite force. Rephaim, which is one of the Erev Rav, there's 5 Erev Rav. One is called Rephaim, And this comes to 88 ordinally. It's the weak ones who run away when Israel is in trouble. Again, we say an unholiness, an unholy opposite to holiness. We have to see that contradiction. It's a very important aspect of it to see the contradiction, to see Hashem hiding. So Hashem hides one opposite the other. Okay? This contradiction creates the thing where Hashem hides. Okay, because when you've got a contradiction, one thing good, one thing bad, you hide the truth that there's only Yod He Vav He, which is all good. Okay, the weak ones who run away when Israel is in trouble. Again, we see. All right, we've gone through that. So again, we've got where am I pulling the 55 from? Let me have a look. Okay, I see where I'm going with this now. So Adam, Chaya, and David. The ordinal of those names comes to 55. The initial letter spell Achad. This will ultimately reveal the oneness of Hashem, a rectification of Adam and Eve through Moshiach ben David. Okay, so let's go look at this last one because this is relevant. In Hebrew, you've got this phrase, Korona, which means call out now or call out please, Korona. It's spelled like Corona. Like the coronavirus, this evil that we're facing at this moment. Okay, there's all kinds of connections with that. The five, where we've got this Rephaim, okay, the 5 names of the Erev Rav spell out, if you take the initial letters, they spell out Erev Rav. Erev Rav is connected to a filling out of the name Yeshu. Okay, it comes to 393. It's also the same gematria of the ordinal and regular spelling for Shiloh. There's so many connections between coronavirus, the Erev Rav, which is the evil husk that hides the name Yod He Vav He. Okay, there's 5 parts to that. Okay, just as you've got 5 letters here for corona, you've got 5 letters that spell out evil plague. Okay, and they're all connected. I might try and put a PowerPoint up. So where do we, the connection between this 55, this unity, is because corona, spelt out is 352 regularly, which is 4 times 88. Okay, so that's taking us back up to this Yeshua and Yonah, which is 88. And it's also connecting us to this concept of unity. We have to look at this complete contradiction in order to find the unity that's hidden within it. Okay, so we have to find Mashiach ben David. We have to unite the concept of Mashiach ben David with the hidden concept of Mashiach ben Yosef in order to reveal unity. And we're going to have to look at things like this coronavirus. It's pointing at the contradiction. But through the contradiction, we will reveal the unity. Okay, so 407 added together, so 352. We're on bullet point E now. And I hope you can see how we're making some of them joins up. We're joining up to some of the other previous revelations. So bullet point E, corona, comes to 407, that's highlighted in blue. It's 11 times 37. We've already come across 37 earlier. 37 is the ordinal value for Yeshu. It's also the value for Yechida, the highest level of soul. Mashiach came as the highest revelation of soul at the level of self-sacrifice. Yechida, oneness, to the name Yod He Vav He. Okay, Yechida means oneness or unique. Okay, so it's related to Echad, Yechida, highest level of soul. 11 represents the spices in the incense that must unite to form a pleasing aroma. The spices are made up from even unkosher, from parts of an unkosher animal, but together they all go and form this amazing aroma. The frankincense, the myrrh, the saffron, there's 11 spices in total, and like I say, one of them's even an unkosher animal. It's like a snail shell, the cap of a snail shell. It goes towards the holy incense. So anyway, let's go back. Corona comes to 352 plus 55 is 407. We've just gone through that. 407, let's just join up another dot. Very important dot to join up. 407 is 2 times 2 is 814. If we take 813 plus a kalel, we also get to 114. So now we need to go down to the next text box, and it's Melech, Livnei Yisrael, a king reigned over the children of Israel. Okay, we need to go look at the context of this, because this equals 813, and we are wanting the king Moshiach to reign over Israel. And also this 813 is linked to the copper snake. Hanachushtan is 813. Okay, it's also the gematria of the word hatahath, in place of. And Yosef mentioned these words. He said, Yosef said to his brothers, and my in place of hatahath of Elohim, God. And the question is, from the Mashiach ben Yosef's mouth, am I something instead of God? Am I instead of God? This is the question, because he appears as something that is a different God. Yosef was asked this question. Am I in place of God? No, the answer is no. And we've got to remedy that contradiction. He appears like he's God, but he's not. Okay? Mashiach ben Yosef is not. It is Yod He Vav He, and that's it. Mashiach ben Yosef is a revelation, just as Yosef, the story of Yosef, revealed Yod He Vav He, just as the story of Esther, even though it is hidden, the story revealed in a hidden way the name Yod He Vav He. Mashiach ben Yosef is a contradiction. He appears that there is Yod He Vav He is not there, but if you look closely, he reveals that there is. They're all related. They're all related, and that's from Genesis 50:19. Let's go and have a look at this verse in context. So a king reigned over the children of Israel. This is where we get the hiddenness, because, all right, I've put on this verse. Now the earth was astonishingly empty, and darkness was on the face of the deep. Okay, and the Spirit of God was hovering over the water. This is where we get, I'm right, it's the Wachoshech Al, which comes to 434, which is Mashiach ben David. So we've got that hiddenness, haven't we? The darkness upon the face of the deep. Okay, and the Ruach Elohim, which we all know these are concepts of the Spirit of Mashiach. That Ruach Elohim is supposedly the Spirit of Mashiach. That's one interpretation. And the 288 we get from this particular phrase. So we know the 288 lost sparks come from this word here, merachafeth, which is hovering. Okay, that's hovering upon the face of the water. So if you take the middle letters, the Resh, the Chet and the Peh, Resh is 200, Chet is 8 and Peh is 80, so that comes to 288. That's where the concept comes from of the 288 sparks of holiness. Okay, the 288 is related to 72 because it's 4 times 72. And 72 is the number of the highest revelation of the name Yod He Vav He. That's the ideal state to get in. There's 4 names of, we'll come to it, there's 4 spellings out of the name Yod He Vav He. They come to 332, which is let there be light. Okay, Yehi Or. And anyway, we'll go through that. So let's just go to the next text box. But they're all connected concepts, they're all connected numbers. This is what we're trying to link back to these 288. I'll show you how they link back. Before a king in Israel, Yod He Vav He reigned over our souls. We first need Yod He Vav He to subdue the chaotic nature of our bodies. Before a king in Israel, Yod-Heh-Vav-Heh reigning over our souls, we first need Yod-Heh-Vav-Heh to subdue the chaotic nature of our bodies. From transforming this darkness into light, we have complete redemption. Yeshua is the force in exile that can help us complete and subdue our body, the nations to the authority of our soul, Yaakov. Then we attain a king who reigns over Israel. Okay, and this is coming from this verse, and these are the kings who reigned in the land of Edom before any king reigned over the children of Israel. So we've got to get that into context. First, Edom is in control. So first our body is in control. We need to subjugate our bodies to the will of our soul. And this is the whole purpose of why the soul descends into the body, to perform that, to take control of the nations. And once the nations are subdued, then Hashem Yod-Heh-Vav-Heh will rule not just over Israel, but over the nations as well. There will be unity. Okay, so that's all related to this coronavirus. Is a hiddenness of the name Yod-Heh-Vav-Heh that will ultimately bring about a revelation of a king who reigned over Israel. Why will that revelation occur? Because we will finally see the concept of Mashiach ben Yosef hidden within Esav, within Edom. We will recognize Yosef in this place of exile, and then there will be unity between the two brothers, Yehuda and Yosef, between the two concepts of Mashiach ben David and Mashiach ben Yosef, and this unity will reveal the name Yod-Heh-Vav-Heh. When the name Yod-Heh-Vav-Heh is revealed, then there will be a king over Yisrael, and if there's a king over Yisrael, it means that the nations have already been subdued. There's a king, is a king over the nations as well. He's a king over body and soul. There's absolutely no compromise in this matter. Right, so let's go see if we've covered everything. Right, so now we're going back. Hopefully we've covered. Alright, so let's go and have a look at some of these 999 footsteps of Mashiach again. So we've got the 153. We've got the 135. Okay. We had to come and have a look at this concept of the 100. So we were on point C. We were looking at the fact that the 153 and the 155, which together, by the way, if you go down to F, 153 and 155 come to the 288. These are the lost sparks of holiness that must be redeemed in full by the Mashiach. So that's point F. So we've already made from this one dot a couple of lines and links elsewhere. So let's now go up to point B, and we will see, so we can see from point A, the ordinal and the regular gematria come to 1152, which is 4 times the 288. We've got a lot of links back to that. Mashiach is the one who redeems the lost sparks of holiness from exile. Okay, he is the lost sparks of holiness from exile. Okay, so we're now on point C. No, we are on point B. We're looking at now the overall total of this statement: one man, one man from a tribe comes to 999, which is, we know the footsteps of Mashiach ben Yosef. They've got an ordinal value of 135. The 135 added to the 999 comes to 1134, which is 6 times 189. We're talking about Mashiach ben Yosef. If we go down to point D, this 189 equals Pikudah, which is the first aspect of redemption. There's 2 aspects of redemption, the first redemption and the last redemption. This is talking about the first redemption. So we know that Mashiach ben Yosef is occupied with this first aspect of redemption. Complete redemption will come when we unite Mashiach ben Yosef to Mashiach ben David, and this is the Zekira, remembrance. Okay, there's some significance in this. For example, the ordinal of Pekudah visitation comes to 45. Okay, those two added together comes to 234, referring to the first redemption. And then we've got remembrance, which is 242 plus 53. Okay, so Zakira equals 53. So visitation is Adam, the first Adam. Zakira, the complete redemption, is 53. Yeshua, the last Adam. Okay, he's called the last Adam in New Testament teachings, I believe. So 295 refers to the second redemption. If we add them both up together, they come to 431. There's significant numbers in all these, but we haven't got time to go through them. The only thing that I will point out is 45 plus 53 comes to Segula, and that's the name of Serach Batasha in Midrash. She's called Segula. Okay, she is the woman that goes and recognizes the statement that Moshe made, pakadte, and, surely I have remembered you. And she is the woman that recognizes that this is the sign that the Redeemer has to say. The sign of the Redeemer is pakadte. And so Serach Batasher is the one that recognizes, oh no, he is the Redeemer, and tells the children of Israel, he is the Redeemer because he said the words that are coded to tell us that he's Redeemer. Okay, so her name is Serach in the Torah and Segula in the Midrash. So we've got, and she's the one that finds the bones of Moshe, and the story in the Midrash calls her Segula, which is 98, 45 plus 53. So we've got all these connections. Okay, we've got another connection here with 153. 153, we're going to go through that. It's a massive connection. It's a massive connection to Mashiach ben Yosef. We've got to understand this concept of 153 very clearly, because it's part of the hiddenness that will reveal. It's part of the contradiction that reveals the unity. We've got to overcome the appearance of the contradiction. So 1530 is Reshith, the beginning, which is 911, and Akrith, the end, 619. That comes to 1530, which is 10 times 153. Yeshua says, I am the Alpha and the Omega. This is what we've got written in the New Testament. He said he was the Aleph and the Tav. Okay, he's the beginning and the end. The beginning and the end is the Aleph and the Tav. The Aleph comes to 1, the Tav comes to 400. That's the regular gematria, 401. The ordinal gematria, the Aleph is 1 and the Tav is 22. That comes to 23. Add them together, 401 and 23. You have got 424, which is Mashiach ben David. It was saying in a coded way, I am Mashiach ben David. And every time you see the Aleph and the Tav, which is to outline a definite article, like the heavens and the earth. This is the first appearance. Bereshit bara Elohim et hashemayim wa et haaretz. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. So is basically right there. Is the beginning. Aleph and Tav, Mashiach ben David. Okay, and we've already gone through point F. I am going to go through 153, but I'm going to wait until the next lesson for that, because it's so incredibly beautiful. It's such an incredible, beautiful revelation of this contradiction, but I can't do it justice. I've got to just go through and finish off what we're doing now, but come back to that at a later date. Okay, a later teaching. So we're now back on the original where we were looking at satira, contradiction, and that coming to 747. So we've covered all those points now. Alright, another one I wanted to point out. Point F, the mystery of the 153 fishes in the dragnet. This is what we will go over next week. Next lesson. The 153 is a mystery within Christianity. They don't know what this 153 means, but obviously it's pointing to a revelation of him as Mashiach ben Yosef. Mashiach ben Yosef is a triangle of good. So the triangular number of good, so if you add all the numbers up, 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5, all the way up to 17, you will get 153. Okay? This is the mystery of the 153 dragnet in the dragnet. We will go over that next lesson. We haven't got time to go over it now. But Yosef is called good. Okay, so this appellation of good is referring to Mashiach ben Yosef as well. Right, we're on point I now. We've gone over point H. We know that 53 and 35 is 88. We've gone over that 88. We've covered this concept of 288 lost sparks. We will come back to that again because it's so important. It's such an important number. We're now looking at that. Esther, Satira, hidden, contradiction, discrepancy, and neutralization. So satira means contradiction or discrepancy, and in the scientific term, it can mean neutralization. We have got to neutralize this contradiction to some degree. So now looking at point J, the contradiction that ultimately needs rectifying is, how can Yeshua Hanotzri, which comes to 747, the exact number for contradiction, which includes the regular and the ordinal, be the final redeemer of Moshe ben Amram. Moshe ben Amram also comes to 747. So how can Jesus, within the Christian, and Notzri is Christianity, so how can Yeshua, that we see revealed in this religion called Christianity, which contradicts the name Yod He Vav He and hides the truth, how can we reconcile that contradiction so that Yeshua Hanotzri is Moshe ben Amram? How can we reconcile that contradiction? We have to understand that Hashem hides. He hides himself in places where we least expect him to be hidden, just as he's hidden in the title of a Gentile king called Ahasuerus. In the story of Purim, he's hidden completely, but it's obvious once you look at it. It's obvious. Okay, and we'll go and have a look at this. We have to dig deeper and deeper and deeper into these concepts. This is the very start of it. We will dig in this teaching, dig deeper and deeper and deeper down into these concepts until you're very clear that there is no contradiction. We have to get to a place where this contradiction is completely and totally reconciled, so that we can see there is only Yod He Vav He. We have to do this. We will not experience redemption until we do. So how can the Torah of Mashiach be reconciled to the Torah of Moshe, and the two Redeemers be one? How can the stick of Yosef be brought together as one in the hand with the stick of Yehuda? So these are two concepts. Yeshua taught the Torah. Yeshua taught a revelation of the name Yod He Vav He at a much higher level of mercy than what was revealed in the Torah of Moshe. Okay, so in the Torah of Moshe, there's a lot of judgment. There's a lot of punishments. There's a lot of consequences. How can that be reconciled with the Torah of Mashiach, which the Torah of Yeshua taught pure mercy at the level of Keter, revelation of the name, a higher level of mercy where there is no judgments. There is no consequences for not keeping Torah. There's no consciousness of self. There's no consciousness of sin. You know, so how can those two be possibly brought together? And this is the role of Mashiach ben David. So when you bring that, it's not the role of Mashiach ben David. It's the unity of Mashiach ben David, which represents the stick of Yehuda, which is the Torah of Moshe, and them coming together. So they have to come together. The revelation of Yeshua, the Torah of Mashiach, that he revealed the higher level name of Yod He Vav He, has to come together with the name that was revealed by Moshe in Exodus. The 13 attributes of mercy were revealed to Moshe. Okay, when he was put in the cleft of the rock. Yeshua revealed the 13 attributes of mercy at a higher level, what's a level called Keta, the tip of the Yud on the name Yod He Vav He. Moshe's revelation is from the letter Vav. We're wanting to attain the letter He, which is representing the world to come, and that is attained in a oneness between those two. When they come together, when the Torah of the revelation that we received through Yeshua, Mashiach ben Yosef, comes together with the revelation of the name Yod He Vav He that was received through Moshe, there is a unity then. That is a unity, because we're told that we put the sticks together in our hand and then they become echad in God's hand. They become one. It doesn't say one stick, by the way. It just says one. This is what we are trying to attain. We are trying to attain a revelation of unity, of oneness. Okay, we're trying to attain the world to come as a revelation of that oneness, the perfection of God. Okay, the unity, the complete unity. This is getting beyond the illusion of the yin and yang, the equal and opposite, evil and good, the consciousness of duality. Okay, so this can only happen when we transform and rectify the darkness of the concealment and the hiddenness of the light of Yod He Vav He through the power of the Redeemer, through uniting the forces of redemption, Moshe, Mashiach ben Yosef and Mashiach ben David together as one. And I'm going to leave the teaching there for now, but the next teachings that come along are going to explore these incredible concepts in depth, go down deep into all these concepts that we've come across in this teaching to reveal there is only Yod He Vav He and nothing else. And this that appears as something other than Yod He Vav He is simply an appearance. The truth that lies behind it is there's only Yod He Vav He. Ein od milvado, nothing else. Okay, shalom.